Now then, everybody, as we turn our full attention to England, I get a full erection. England beat Bosnia and Herzegovina 3-0 on Monday night, of course. Now, Luke, you and I recorded Ramble Reacts after full time. You can listen to that episode below this one in your podcast app. But the England chat doesn't stop there.
That's how ready you are for the Euros, isn't it? You're going to do this one again.
Yeah, we'll do it all over again.
Go.
Rewind. To be fair, they played Bosnia and Herzegovina, so we need to do a second one.
That's right.
To cover it all off.
There we are.
As I was saying to you earlier, Jim, paraphrasing your own astute observation from many years ago, we're in the perineum between the end of the commercial domestic season and the international tournament. So when it comes to making podcasts for those people listening right now, believe me when I tell you, we take what we can.
Yes.
We do what we can do until, what would it be, next Friday?
Yeah.
And then we're up.
Honestly, Marcus, I thought you'd already be on to celebrating Germany not beating Ukraine the same night.
You got to.
Yeah, I did note that, Andy.
Yeah,
I did note that. But with regards to England, Gareth Southgate has said that he's spinning a lot of plates in order to get the squad right for the tournament. As the tournament is approaching, Jim, we're excited about England. They are the favourites for the bookies and a number of people. But do you look at this squad and do you start saying, Luke Shaw might not make it? Are you beginning to sort of worry about some of the creaks and cracks appearing, or are you still full of excitement?
No, I would say the opposite, actually.
Okay.
Especially having watched the game and the players that featured, because I think the primary focus is obviously that third person in midfield, isn't it? And actually looking at it, it's like, I think I'd be happy with any of them.
Yeah.
Like, unless Hendo sneaks in between now and the start of the tournament, I honestly think every possible combination looks like it's functional and like it's going to work.
And we've got a new Hendo now. We talked about it on Monday. Marcus and I had officially decided that Connor Gallagher is a new Henderson, so we don't need Hendo back.
Yep.
Marcus, it's fine. What Marcus needs is he needs someone to replace the love, because you love deeply, you love seriously, and you love loyally,
Erotically as well.
And can be erotically as well. But when someone
Only from the 14th onwards.
yeah,
when the real stuff starts.
That's when it starts going. That's when he starts jizzing everywhere.
Oh, come on.
But Henderson was difficult for you to leave. You've loved and lost there, but now you've got a nice new fella come through that can be the object of your affections, and it's all fine, isn't it?
This is like in the Granton Star Cause, where he gets replaced by the more handsome guy with the ponytail, isn't it?
What's this in?
It's an Irvine Welsh adaptation.
What did you call it?
The Granton Star Cause.
Granton's an area in Edinburgh.
He gets binned from his Sunday League team for a more handsome man with a blonde ponytail.
Oh, I used to have a ponytail.
I used to have a ponytail. Life imitating art.
Kind of works with Connor Gallagher. I mean, until I suppose if I saw Connor Gallagher chase down an Eredivisie goalkeeper from his own half, then that would really
I'd get you going with it. That's the good stuff. That
I do not know what I would do with myself.
But it's amazing, isn't it? Thinking that Cruyff's up there going, "This was what I was always building to."
I'm proud of you, son.
How am I doing, boss? You're running a lot. You are running an awful lot. I mean, it's not really what I was known for.
All right, this is going into disrespectful territory now.
What, with Hendo?
Yeah.
Or the dead Johan Cruyff?
Either.
Who at the time of recording is still dead.
Indeed.
Johan Cruyff
were European champions.
Johan Cruyff famously said, if you need to run that fast, you should have left earlier. Not a kind of a mantra that Jordan Henderson's career has been based around. I'm just saying this is different. The jeopardy is in the difference in the characters, isn't it?
If there's anyone who's going to figure out how to cheat death, it will be Cruyff as well. He will argue his way back to life.
I thought you were going to say Henderson, just run away from it like on FIFA 95 when you couldn't get booked if you kept running.
Apparently he essentially didn't adhere to the rules of the road in Amsterdam because he thought the traffic light system had put in wrong. So he just sort of did what he wanted.
This is not Henderson.
I was going to say, it's confusing.
There's a lot of red lights everywhere. But England, Andy, if we can come back there. There are issues, if you like, to be solved or areas of the pitch where Southgate needs to kind of nail down. Now, again, I think sometimes, I don't know what it's like in other countries, but sometimes we are obsessed with what's the starting 11, because it has to be the starting 11 against Slovenia, against France, against who else?
Well, it's the second friendly that's for, isn't it?
Sure.
Really.
What's the second friendly for, do you reckon?
To pick your sort of dress rehearsal.
Right.
And there's been chat about Harry Kane.
Have to wear the uniforms for the dress rehearsal?
Yes, they're not going to play in skins.
No. Confirmed. I can confirm that exclusively here.
England with bibs. England wearing the orange bibs. Yeah. But there has been chat about that Harry Kane will start in this game because he didn't finish the German season because of
these were his first minutes since Champions League semi.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Which Harry Kane said actually he feels that will probably help him because he gets a little bit of a rest. And he said
He wanted that penalty bad.
he did.
Yeah.
Well, he apparently, I think this was joking around, but Southgate.
Well, you guys joked about it, didn't you?
But then Southgate said it, yeah.
Well, this was when obviously Cole Palmer scores the penalty.
Cole Palmer is excellent at holding on to the ball when it's a penalty.
He is.
yeah.
So you've got your defined roles because, of course, when the penalty was being argued over, Trippier was. But lots of people around me, because I was at
the game, weren't you?
Yeah, lots of people around me thought that Trippier was going to take the penalty, and they were obviously, being Newcastle fans, getting quite excited about it. But he's protecting the penalty spot. That's his role. He did that for Alex Isak, didn't he, at Forest earlier in the season? And you need a protector of the penalty spot.
You do
nowadays.
No, you absolutely do. So yeah, apparently Harry Kane did want to force the substitution quickly to take the penalty. But as Southgate said, that was never going to happen. But Kane is going to start against Iceland, so people are thinking, is Ivan Toney going to be cut from the squad then?
Yeah,
because Southgate has alluded to the fact that you probably only take 2 number 9s.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Toney gets the second half, or at least a decent chunk of the second half, is it? But the squad deadline is midnight, isn't it? So they really have to sort of pull an all-nighter.
What, do you reckon there might be a lot of injury time? Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Shit.
Tony scored 6 goals in injury time.
I can't tell. He's still playing.
Yeah.
I can't tell him that.
But what I mean, Luke and I talked about the if you like Watkins v Toney, who would be the backup to Kane.
I mean, it's difficult to say because it was such a weird game, the Bosnia game, because it's so far from what England's team will be when the Euros start.
And it was total training ground stuff with Bosnia, offering nothing going forward.
Yeah, it felt you could only take like minor conclusions from it, really, and that was it. I think Connor Gallagher is one. As you said, because I don't know, it's funny, not just because of the blondness, but being on level 7 at St James's Park, where you get this sort of bird's eye view, you can see over the city as well. You get to see the whole team moving together, and I had a very similar feeling to the first time I saw David Beckham play live for Real Madrid, in that he's doing 7 times the running of anyone else. And at that point, there's lots of things that don't excite me about Conor Gallagher, but everything he puts in. I think Jim's right. He's a very, very convincing option, and even for the 11.
And he's also coming into form at the right time.
Yeah,
it seemed to make sense. I totally agree.
And that's the opposite of Toney, of course, isn't it? Because I would say if we can take only minor conclusions, Watkins, I think, definitely showed enough in that first half to think, if you want to.
I thought that Marcus didn't think that.
No, I thought the same as you, Marcus.
Right.
I thought he doesn't quite look like he fits the system, actually, which is not his fault, but he doesn't quite look comfortable in an England shirt. It's perhaps that he's so desperate to do something that you maybe see it in his body language every time he approaches something.
Possibly. Look, I mean, we always say, but Watkins has had a brilliant season. Yeah, totally. And form is one part of it. But again, if you're the England manager and you think, well, this guy's done really well for Aston Villa, great, can he do well for me? And that's the question. And as I say, like Watkins has done really well in that system, for a particular team under a particular manager. He's played well elsewhere in his career, hence he's got the move to Villa. And I understand Villa are a bigger club and finish way higher than Brentford. But Toney, to me, is the type of guy that you could put him in any side and he'd be able to kind of do his thing. Now, I know he's not had a great back end of the season, but in that Belgium game, I just thought he looked the part. Although the caveat is he was playing with an England team which is much more like the England team.
And they also
Watkins perhaps,
and that's really, a very small sample size.
The challenge is totally different.
Yeah.
And Marcus and I talked about sample sizes on Monday. You haven't got any choice but to talk about real small sample sizes because of the nature of it, and it's such a different environment because Watkins has been able to do what he's been able to do this season in part because he plays all the time and they play in a certain way and they know each other well. And, with England, whenever he comes in, I mean, basically they're all labouring under the issue of the existence of Harry Kane because Harry Kane never seems to be unavailable for England. He's an elite level player and he has been for such a long time, and you're only ever playing second fiddle. There's no chance,
and everyone knows that.
Exactly,
they know
it's almost like a settled debate.
Totally.
And the only way
if Southgate, sorry to interrupt, if Southgate said, Watkins, you're playing in the quarter-final, Watkins would probably look over and go, what? I think you should actually be playing Harry. Do you know what I mean? It's like that, isn't it, really?
But the only thing that could change that, and obviously I don't want this to happen, and I don't think anyone does, is for Kane to get like a year-long injury or really badly, hurt himself to the point where he's unavailable for such a long time and they've got no choice but to adjust. And then we'll better make a full assessment of Toney and Watkins. And I think if Toney, and I'm come down the side of Watkins as I did on Monday, I would come down the side of Toney because as I've repeatedly said, he's a much more similar player to Kane than Watkins is. If Toney had A, not made a ridiculous decision which essentially torpedoed his own career, and B, even then, if he had come back and hit the ground running and just never stopped scoring and showed the scoring record that Watkins had showed in the second half of the season, then you justify it. Other than that, I just don't think you can justify it, because the way that Toney played for England against Belgium is completely reflective of how England approached that game. Not just with the personnel, but the way they went after teams. They did that in that little international break against Brazil and Belgium, and they showed everyone what it means to be not defensively robust and to throw caution to the wind and go for it. And Toney benefited from that.
I do think because the sample size is so small, Southgate might look at this and think, actually, I have to refer to club form. I have to refer back to
Possibly.
that. And Watkins may get the nod because of that. And I actually, despite, not
Also the
thinking
message it sends out.
not thinking he had a great game, I think that might actually be the right thing as well. Part of the reason I think Watkins probably should get the nod is if you're in a situation where you have to throw absolutely everything at it because you're in a knockout game, there's not long left, you need a goal. I think Kane and Watkins would work well together. It'd be unlikely that they'd get onto the pitch, but Watkins is brilliant at running onto balls, basically. He's absolutely superb at that. Kane is brilliant at dropping deep and putting those balls in. It's a conversation we've had on the show before. I think that would work really, really well for England, and I don't think that's an option. Kane and Toney isn't really an option, is it?
So
they're going to be occupying those same spaces. So I think that weirdly might actually give Watkins more of a chance. Because he's, like you say, he's only going to be there for a very... for an emergency.
So you're suggesting that we might hear Gareth Southgate go, lads, 4-4-2.
Yeah.
And they're two up front. I don't think they'll be on the pitch at the same time.
Can I also add that Watkins is a great Premier League player, and a lot of the time in the Premier League, teams, even if they're not that fancied, they do try and score goals. Like the amount of goals we see in the Premier League this season is crazy. Watkins, I don't know if he's amazing against teams that set up the way Bosnia set 5 and a 4 and kept a shape, and there's no room for him really. So you got to factor that into it as well.
You do. Andy, I was surprised to hear that you were set up high.
Surely you're just behind the bench, aren't you? Just whispering in the ear.
But there was an England fan seen wiping their arse on a Sunderland flag, which was down the front. So did you pop down there? Was it the second half?
It wasn't the Kingstonian flag, so it was. It definitely wasn't Andy.
But Andy, on a serious note, or did you want to respond to that?
No, I was going to say it was interesting seeing the first 10 minutes, Jordan Pickford being booed every time he got the ball.
Well,
I mean,
and this is why we play at Wembley all the time, Andy.
Where we can boo everyone.
Part of that might be the fact that he was 30 yards from his goal when England had the ball in their own half.
Love it.
Yeah, he loves it.
He's the
He wants to be involved.
He's the English Rennie Higuita. What did you make of Kieran Trippier playing left back? I know he's played left back a number of times for England. He played left back against Italy in the home qualifier, of course. But you've watched Newcastle much more than any of us. He's been out of form at times. He's been injured.
He's had his worst season for them.
Right. And
he's played very little football in the back end of this campaign.
Indeed. But he has been a stalwart for Southgate and he's played very well for England. What do you make of him being essentially picked for that starting spot, you would have thought?
It feels...
Does it worry you?
A little.
Right.
It feels as if... there needed to be a backup plan, and there needed to be a backup plan that was thought about a couple of months ago. I suppose you can say it's just misfortune with injuries, but Trippier being the one play for it, doesn't feel great to me.
Because Gomez is being used as a fullback, and Konza was playing everywhere along the back line.
Yeah, that's right.
The versatility of those two is really useful and interesting, though. So
Konza felt like he was getting himself a place.
Yes, I would agree.
In the 26 in this game. Ideally, I think if we're looking at form, I would prefer Joe Gomez, but how does that affect England in an attacking sense, I suppose?
So, left back, that seems to be a bit of a weakness, unless Trippier can become... The England Trippier that we've all known and loved over the years.
I think defensively there are a whole host of issues. Stones hasn't been in brilliant nick for the last couple of months. Maguire might not be fit for the game on Friday and might not be fit for the first game against Serbia. So there are a load of question marks.
Well, but
if Luke's talking about England playing a little bit more front foot, I mean, this is the time to do it, isn't it?
He might have no choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's why it looks like the handbrake's off.
He's got such a top-heavy side anyway. Like I said to Marcus on Monday, the big question mark over England is the personnel things are the personnel things. There'll probably be every country will have some kind of issue on that, given the amount of football that players play now. But the big question mark over England still, after all these years under Southgate, is can they go toe-to-toe with a good team and come out on top? And the only time you could possibly say that's happened was maybe against Germany in the Euros, but Germany weren't up to much, really, were they?
No, they weren't. I mean, of course, you have to ask the question of whether that matters. I mean, just find a way to win the game.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, often in midfield, England come unstuck in those bigger games
Because they lose because they cede control.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. Whereas they look at, despite our worries, as Jim sort of mentioned there, I think we look a little bit stronger in midfield, but the defence is a concern. But since we did the Lions Watch where we picked our 7 that we thought would get cut, we put Jared Branthwaite in there. Since then, I've had quite a lot of messages from people saying Branthwaite should be starting for England. He is. We know he's highly rated, and he's a brilliant player. Don't get me wrong. We thought maybe it'd come too soon. No, he came on, was booked sort of straight away. You know,
A little bit overeager.
Yeah, a little bit overeager. I mean, he looks magnificent, Andy. You're talking about beautiful blonde
He's a stallion, isn't he? He's a stallion.
He is a stallion. He looks like a lean rugby league player.
He's a Rolls Royce with a stallion driving it.
My goodness.
Yeah.
What a thought.
I think, is there some way we can get
His
him
hooves are on the pedals, and his front hooves, Jim, are on the steering wheel. But he's somehow still driving
Well,
it.
he's obviously a very talented horse.
Yeah. What a horse.
Yeah, it's a Ferrari, presumably he's driving.
Yeah,
that's the horsey one, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Well, mate.
But what about
Top gear
Branthwaite? But with Branthwaite, a lot of people saying, for crying out loud, start him. Do you think that this is the time?
No.
Or you don't think he should be starting?
I think we're getting into the realm of the speculative quite a lot.
But
that is definitely not Gareth Southgate, by the way.
Fine,
we can say he wants to be a little bit more front foot, and there are a couple of situations in which his hand will be forced. But the more uncertainty you can eliminate, the better. Okay, there's quite a high potential reward for Branthwaite coming in, and look, I'm sure he'll be a very good player for England for years to come. But why are we talking about taking a massive risk
Well,
now?
the reason why
we were thinking about this.
Well, just to
Think
respond
about
to
it
that,
2
Andy,
windows ago.
the reason why we're going to respond is because of what you just said. You just said that Maguire's probably not going to play the first game. There's injury doubts there. Stones will play if and when he's fit. People aren't so sure maybe about Lewis Dunk, who did okay. Yeah. I think Mark Gay's a plus, but again, not played that much. So you start talking them through, you think, well, hang on, should he maybe have a go with Branthwaite?
I think that's who Branthwaite is competing with, isn't it? Probably Mark Gahey for that first game in particular. And actually, it's not entirely unreasonable to suggest that those two might be able to duke it out. And
but Marcus is a big romantic, though, isn't he? As soon as a young English player does quite well, you want it. You want it so bad. You want Branthwaite.
Well, no, hang on. We were going to cut him.
You want Maynard in midfield. No, I talked you around to the 7 that are being cut, though. I had to tell you.
Well, as I keep saying, to hell with UEFA. We're taking them all.
You were taking them all.
Well, let's make
you're a romantic.
Let's let UEFA make a decision.
Put it this way. Back in the 90s, if Marcus was picking the squad and he happened to see that Scott Parker McDonald's advert, Parker would have been in there.
Yeah.
Up front.
Sonny Pike would have been in there.
yeah.
Look, there's room for everybody.
If we're talking about these sort of 80-man squads, what you don't want to create, Marcus, is a situation where Thierry Henry says, all right, then I'll bring the Olympic squad.
Yeah.
I'll bring the French Olympic squad.
There is that.
We ain't got to worry about Olympics.
No,
we're not Olympic slugs here, are we?
No.
It's not that.
Absolute Swindon lot stuff, the Olympics.
The amount of message I've had about people saying, honestly, Branthwaite is the man.
But I get the amount of messages I've had.
Yeah, but your messages were
people telling me they wish I was dead. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to kill myself.
They are burner accounts.
There's a lot of stuff that comes through on social media thanks to our overlord, the Musketeer.
Look, we employ people to send those messages. Okay? But anyway, look, okay, so if you're not convinced and Branthwaite, look, like I said at the time, if Southgate took a gamble on him, I would think, well, blimey, he's obviously seen something. If he doesn't play and if he doesn't even go, I get
but it's
that
when
as well.
legend. That's how the legend is forged, right?
Yeah.
I told you before, didn't I? With Maguire going into the 2018 World Cup, not quite the same situation, but a similar one. You know, this guy looks good. He's having eventually has a big move to Manchester United. He didn't have a huge amount of experience at the back for England, but he showed himself to be a reliable operator, and Southgate trusts him. And before you know it, he's got X amount of caps. The exact same situation could happen with Branthwaite. Needs must. He has to go in. He plays well, and he's there, and that's that. And he'll probably get a big move to Man United as well. That's really the well-trodden path of a lot of young English players. So it wouldn't be a massive surprise.
Yeah. Are there any surprises or shouts from left field that you would like to see England choose for the game against Iceland, perhaps? I mean,
I've just said I'm Team Gareth. I don't want any left field.
Andy wants to just keep it nice and tight.
Well, that's fair. No,
I've got my England waistcoat on now.
Yeah,
it's buttoned up to the top.
Someone said to Andy, "You can do anything you want this Friday night," and he's gone, "I'm going to stay in with a takeaway." I don't want any nonsense.
Fair enough, Jim.
Yeah, I'd like to see Mainey get some minutes.
Damn right.
Yeah, just
damn right.
because this, like I say, this midfield is so interesting, and all of those options look pretty good. I imagine it's probably a bit too soon for Adam Wharton, as you guys mentioned on Monday night, but he was excellent. He didn't put a foot wrong. I thought he was really, really good.
Jim, we may well be talking about him on tomorrow's Lions Watch.
We will be, actually. Little spoiler, we are going to talk about him.
Definitely, maybe.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'll be doing Thursday night.
Are you really?
I am.
Yeah, nice.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not coming in on Friday.
You might have too many Fantas. Going to the afters with Liam.
Big time.
Yeah.
Not even the zero sugar ones.
What are the afters like? Loads of Fanta and slagging people off on Twitter. It's brilliant.
X.
Yeah.
X, everyone.
Come
Sorry,
on, you know. Now, Scotland got their Euro preparations underway on Monday night with a win against Gibraltar.
Kind of. Did you watch the highlights of it?
Yeah.
It didn't even look like a proper game of football.
I
The locals in the
highlights.
Algarve did not come out for
no.
Scotland.
That was basically Stevie Clark was thinking, weather's not up to much at the moment. Where do you fancy going?
Yeah.
Algarve?
Yeah.
All right. Shit.
Gibraltar would be up for it.
Yeah. Who can we get then?
But
Well,
that's it, isn't it? It shows you how
they work
difficult
backwards.
these like pre-tournament friendlies are to even get.
Yeah.
Like, have they booked this through Expedia?
We'll chuck in Gibraltar.
Yeah. I reckon
A local club side would have been better.
If Scotland organised this warm up as like those like Sunday league clubs organise like football tours to the Algarve
Oh, big time,
with Ash the Bash, some kind of Facebook.
Yeah, well, a win's a win's a win. They did struggle to score, though. It was fairly late on in the game.
And yeah,
but I mean, look, England beat a Hong Kong 11 side 1-0 ahead of Euro 96, you know?
But yeah, it's a very different era and a very different time, and
But
got
it's a
more,
similar scoreline.
And you've got more space. You want to do a bit of team building back then. That was important. You know, I've just been watching
Team building, is that what they called the dentist chair?
Well, it was, wasn't it? I mean, it's a very 90s idea of it, but it is.
I suppose so.
Those men were certainly bonded. You can't deny that.
Yeah. They said, didn't they, that like, you know, all the furore around it did actually bring them closer together. So I'm not sure that's what they had in mind, but we don't want to get off track.
Okay.
Back then, you had a lot more space and a lot more room in the calendar to do things. I mean, Andy might better put me right here, but I don't know what they're getting out of that. I mean, ostensibly, I feel like, playing Gibraltar as a Scotland team, I know they qualified well for the Euros. I know they've found it difficult. They had before Monday night, they hadn't won in 7 games. They're in a terrible run going into a tournament. So maybe they wanted a bit of a confidence boost or whatever, but it can backfire. I mean, you go an hour not scoring against Gibraltar, and you're going to be labelled a prat.
Yeah.
So
but realistically,
so what's the benefit of it? I guess is what I'm saying.
But you look at all of these teams and the opposition that they're playing. I mean, of course, there was the reasoning that England were playing Bosnia because, you know, they've got Serbia coming up and, you know, it's regionally
They always do
similar.
that, don't they?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
the same
It's
neck of the
regionally
woods.
similar, same ballpark.
Yeah. Because Andorra or France, you know, they're next to each other.
Yeah, exactly. But realistically, Bosnia have been awful for years and looked it, and they've got a new coach and they're starting.
he
from
looks
zero.
amazing, the coach, though.
Oh, Sergei Barbares.
He looks
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. He's an absolute legend of Bosnian football.
It looks the hardest bloke you could ever imagine.
What, him v Wayne Rooney in a boxing match?
I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'd absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It would be amazing. I mean, so would Wayne, presumably. Yeah. Give it till like Friday night. He'll be offering him out. Carry on, Andy.
But yeah, you think of like England are playing Iceland on Friday, who are like nowhere near the side they were sort of.
But England are in the same position as
6 to 8
Scotland, are
years
they?
ago.
England are arguably the best team in Europe. They're not in the same position as Scotland.
No, in fact, they're in a position where they need to win some games, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because, funnily enough, since moving heaven and earth to qualify for the tournament, they've been criticised for losing some friendlies, which to me seems ridiculous.
Can I just say it was good that Che Adams scored. He hadn't scored for about 2 years in Scotland. It was a very satisfying volley.
He thumped it in like a man like playing a game on holiday, didn't he? Which
Exactly.
I think might actually be
the case.
part of the
What, like it was a penny floater?
Because it's about getting those sort of pre-tournament like vibes in early, right? Creating that atmosphere because it's a huge undertaking where you've got your whole country, like the whole country's eyes on you. Every moment is scrutinised massively. They need to be in the right headspace. And actually, if they go out and they get an enjoyable win in the sunshine, have a good time, that's not the worst thing to take into the tournament. And also, there's only so many sort of teams to go around, right? I genuinely think it's quite difficult to book these friendlies in terms of the sort of scheduling of it.
And relaxing the team is probably quite important. I mean, Steve Clark said that he felt his team were a little bit nervous before the tournament.
Yeah.
He said, don't be surprised if there's some nerves in these friendlies because he's
Yeah,
picked 28.
that's
They're going to whittle that down to 26. I think that's
part of those nerves are probably because Lyndon Knight's got injured in that training
Well, he
session
said,
as well. Because
Yeah.
whenever you see someone hit the deck in one of these games,
Yep.
your heart's in your mouth, isn't
Well,
it?
and
That's
there's that
part
as
of it,
well
for
with
sure.
regards to friendly matches. matches as well. Totally. People, I mean, Liam Cooper came off injured, and Clark admitted that when he saw that, he said, "I shit myself. Of course I was worried. Liam doesn't stay down very often." So there's all that kind of going on in players' minds.
And it's important for Liam Cooper, by the way, because he wants to put himself in the shop window because he's keep refusing to sign a contract at Leeds, and he wants to play in the Euros. So presumably got Bayern coming to him,
but they think he'll be okay. But as
I think he might be the man to stop Xavi Alonso's Invincibles at Bayern next season under Vincent Kompany. And that is not a contextual sentence I thought I'd say this season.
Definitely not.
Speaking of context, listeners, before the start, I got this pep talk, no, that European muck today. here's you talking about Liam Cooper for Bayern Munich.
Listen, we've had two beautiful, brave men doing a proper political debate last night about the future of this country. The last thing we need, Marcus, back me up on this, is this European nonsense coming in from over there.
He is talking about Farage and Tice, by the way, everybody.
What else was on? That's what people are calling us,
I did. Are they? No. I think. Like I said after the England friendly, I said this friendly. Don't worry about the result or the performance too much. Obviously, that does give them a bit of encouragement, and you have to say that about Scotland. This won't have any bearing on how they face up against Germany.
No,
because the opposition. It's just they're worlds apart. These two games,
and also they won and Germany didn't.
Exactly, indeed, Andy. That's how you got to spin it. But it is a great shame that Lyndon Dykes is going to miss the tournament through injury, and it's always gutting, and it always happens. I mean, we're all fingers crossed for everybody who's in the England squad, but it wouldn't be a shock. I mean, it happened to Trent Alexander-Arnold before the Euros last time. I'm pretty sure it was the Euros. It just a really innocuous one, and it can happen.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
But I think from an actual Scotland getting out there and playing perspective. I know he's not the most glamorous player, but he's really, really important to them.
Gets through so much work.
You can't really replace him, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, they are.
Like for like, they can't replace him.
Yeah, well, that's what Steve Clark said. Can we replace him? He said no. Okay. Would it have been a better performance with Lyndon Dykes in the team? Probably no. They dealt very well with the high balls into the box. So, I mean, Clark again, he's got to keep his available strikers sweet. You can't say, we're rubbish without him, and then turn around and go, well, boys, can't you be more like Lyndon Dykes? But that's the situation. And Scotland, they've got a friendly, of course, against Finland coming up as well. Finland were beaten 4-2 by Portugal, Andy Brassel.
Yes, they were.
In this little round of friendly fixtures. A lot of people are aware of Portugal, but when it comes to talking about favourites, people tend to be talking about England, even though I hate seeing that. And France, of course, for me, are the favourites in the team to beat. But Portugal, with the names that they have in their squad, and if qualification is anything to go by, they look pretty impressive. How do you rate them? I think I've asked you this a few times over the month. I'm just surprised that maybe they're not being mentioned a little bit more.
Yeah, the talent's unbelievable. Roberto Martinez probably has some influence on that because people don't massively rate him, but I think he's a really good coach for this team. I think he's a very good coach at international level anyway. And they've got an interesting couple coming through as well. Francisco Conceição, the son of Sergio, he played against Finland. He's brilliant.
Yeah, wasn't he?
Man of the match, absolutely fantastic. And Bruno Fernandes just came on and had a little second half. They put out a sort of England against Bosnia-esque sort of team, really.
You say little second half. I mean, he did help himself, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I mean. A little second half. He came on, gently bullied everyone.
Yep.
And that was nice. A couple of goals for Timo Pukki as well. Do you know he's got 42 international goals?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's decent, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's very
all
good.
for Finland.
How does that compare to the big man of Portugal?
Yeah.
Nowhere near, is it? Are we going to see CR7, the big man, at the Euros?
Yeah, we will.
Is it going to happen?
And Pepe as well, right?
Yeah.
Pepe's 41. And he's going to play in the Euros.
And he's going to be good as well.
I know.
Cristiano Ronaldo is Cristiano Ronaldo, and he is 2 years younger than Pepe. I mean, it's wild.
It's astonishing.
I mean, I think if England do draw up against, and presumably Pepe will play games as well,
yes.
right? As if England get Portugal, whatever stage they get them, if they do, you've got to be fancying. I know he's good.
Oh, Luke, stop it.
I know he's had an amazing career, right?
Stop it.
But I just think if you're a young buck and you're at the top of your game and you are,
what are you doing?
I'm just saying you match yourself up against like a 41-year-old man.
We talk about
you
sample
need to fancy
sizes.
your chances.
We talk about sample sizes. How much more of a sample size do you need to know about Pepe?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how old he is.
This is what everybody thought when Porto came to the Emirates. No one got any change out of him. Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka.
Nothing. Unbelievable.
No one got a thing.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is that Cristiano Ronaldo won't start all the games. I think that's very unlikely that he starts all the games, but he will. It'll probably start the tournament, I would think.
Should we call the whole thing off?
He'll just
Well, he's in favour of that, definitely.
he'll just sub himself on, won't he?
He's like, what do you mean Liechtenstein haven't qualified? What's no point in me fucking being here then?
Oh dear. Well, as Euro fever ramps up, make sure you're listening to On the Continent for all your European football needs this summer. In the build-up to the tournament, OTC are releasing a series of preview episodes where Dot and Andy and co are speaking to a range of European football experts to give insight into some of the teams you should be following this summer. So search for On the Continent on your podcast app and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Available episodes, we've already got a Ukraine preview with Andy Todos.
It's fantastic. It's a fantastic episode.
Yes.
Really good.
And a Romania preview with Emmanuel Rochu. Portugal, Germany and Belgium coming out next week.
I mean, if you do like to actually learn something when you're listening to a football podcast, that is definitely the episode, the podcast for you. A little bit put out that none of us in this studio have been asked to be an expert from Andy. Bit disrespectful. But last time I suggested an idea to Andy for OTC, he asked me to email in as a listener.
Yeah.
Which is a bit confusing, given that Marcus and I actually created that show. But there you go.
I've actually got no response to that. That's literally what happened, isn't it?
But you famously said, though, I think we've heard enough from experts, didn't you?
We have.
Yeah.
We have. I did my own research, Marcus.
Exactly, yeah. And the truth is always relative, everybody. Coming up in the second half, we've got Kylian Mbappe, we've got some Kevin De Bruyne transfer news, and we've got Alan Pardew. See you in a moment.
How's he back in here?
El Mahane, right foot, whips it. Oh, jeezy peeps, man.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. Always good to have a word from Arbroath.
Never gets old.
No, it's
Lovely
great.
Arbroath Smoky in there.
Oh, now you're
Arbroath
talking.
Smoky, yeah.
Now you're talking. Right, let's start with Pardew. Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Alan Pardew has had to deny reports that he has been linked with the Burnley job. When asked who the next Burnley manager will be, he said, well, it obviously isn't me.
Well, if he's been linked with the Burnley job, even if it's completely untrue, he can't deny those reports, can he?
Yeah. Well, Andy, let me finish the other quote. So he said he's denied it. It's obviously not going to be me. It's nice to be linked with them for myself. It's a great challenge that I would like to do because I'd like to take them back into the Premier League. So what? I mean,
He says, I'd like to take a team back.
A team back in
Much like.
And he said, have they approached you? He said, well, I wouldn't tell you even if they had. So we're none the wiser.
Much like what I expect is probably the experience of going on, say, a third date with Alan Pardew. I'm getting mixed messages here.
Is he up to 3 dates now, is he?
Could be.
Do you think this speculation has been provoked by the way that Vinicius Junior celebrated his goal at the Champions League final? I mean, we know he likes to dance after scoring a goal, but it was a very Pardew-esque one, probably because he was at Wembley.
True enough. True enough. And that skill that he did
It's a tribute.
when he took on those Dortmund players, I mean, that was like Pardew in his heyday as a player, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Or on the dance floor.
Or on the dance
Pardew was
floor.
a good player. I don't know what you're digging him out for that.
I'm not digging him out.
He wasn't that kind of player, but he was a perfectly good player.
Very good player.
I think what's happened, Jim, is that he's seen what Vinny Company's done and gone, anything's possible.
Yeah.
So maybe my goose isn't quite cooked
Or
yet.
he's gone, this team look fairly well equipped to go straight back up.
Yeah.
Based on what they did the season before, I could parachute in there quite nicely. But I think the reason I want this to
deliver them a
happen,
10th place finish.
yeah, it is a culturally terrible fit, and for that reason, I really want to see it.
It is, yeah.
But Alan Pardew's a culturally
He's too
terrible.
flash.
Alan Pardew's a culturally terrible fit to anyone outside of presumably Stringfellows or perhaps at a push, the Groucho Club.
Yeah.
I've seen the man move. He's not like a solid. He's like a liquid. I've seen him move. I've seen Alan Pardew
He's like a liquid.
work a room, and he's like a liquid.
Like the T1000.
He's like a liquid in a suit.
He certainly produces a lot of liquid. But Burnley are said to be considering Frank Lampard for the role.
Oh, frying pan, meat fire.
It has been reported that Frank Lampard has been interviewed for the Birmingham City job as well.
They've learned their lesson, haven't they? I'm just saying we haven't used all the golden generation yet. We only used one of them. There must be a reason they're called the golden generation.
I think Lampard could turn out to be an all right coach, but the jury is out. on him.
Seriously, though?
I think there's not. I wouldn't go that far that Marcus has gone there. I'm not going all the way down there with him, but I will go half the way down that road and say
Come on.
that he's not been as bad as some of the others of that. He's not been as bad as Gerrard.
And he's done fairly well at that level, hasn't he? To be fair.
He did okay at Derby.
He
Well,
did.
That was a really
But the jobs,
long time ago
Everton
now.
and Chelsea, come on. You can't judge someone on that.
Yeah, I would agree. A lot of what's gone wrong in his last couple of jobs have not been his fault. But, it's the Frank de Boer equation, isn't it? The fact is that a huge part of a coaching career is picking the right jobs.
Definitely.
Frank
And-
Rijkaard. It's all the Franks.
It's a really good point, and I'm well surprised that Mourinho didn't mention Frank de Boer in his announcement to Fenerbahce fans, by the way. just get it in there. But you're absolutely right. Just to make a serious point on that, here's the thing that we don't talk about enough. You've got young, budding coaches here, and Wayne Rooney said it. You know, Wayne Rooney's probably a bit more humble than Frank Lampard, but a similar kind of generation and, you know, similar achievements in their career. And Rooney said, I'm no one in management, and I will go and manage at Plymouth, and I will go and manage wherever, because I'll judge it. I'll judge the opportunity on its own merits, and I feel like I've got my way, right? The issue we never talk about is just how many badly run clubs there are in this country.
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
what is the landing spot where you've got a chance to actually do something? It's very, very few and far between.
You're absolutely right to say that, because with Rooney, I admire him saying, you know, I'll go here, there, and everywhere. Bear in mind, he's got a young family as well. You know, and you know, you move around the place. You know, that doesn't make a difference.
He's got 4 kids, Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 1 kid, and I wouldn't mind moving to Plymouth just for a bit.
Yeah. Well, but you get the point, and but I hope he just wouldn't take any old job, and I'm sure he probably would have a think about it. But you know, Plymouth, it's not that long ago that, you know, they had their trials and tribulations.
Every single club, though.
Yeah, well, this is it. So if you just go, right, I've got to earn my stripes, like he said, I agree with him, but to a point, you know, don't just, you know, do value yourself, Wayne.
But I think the thing is, like, managing like 98% of clubs in the Football League is nothing like managing
a Premier League
club, because really, a Premier League club, you're going to do the coaching.
Yep.
And that's going to be it. Whereas you're expected to muck in a much more global sense, and there won't be such a strong football structure at a lot of these clubs. So really, once you've typecast yourself as an EFL manager,
Exactly.
how are you going to get out of that?
difficult.
Because it's the difference between the word manager and coach, isn't it, really?
Like Maresca did at Chelsea, happy to be a coach.
Yeah, but that's
Pochettino's always chipping off about stuff.
which is one of a number of reasons. I stress a number of reasons why you often don't get the English managers or the British managers going from the Championship or the Football League into the Premier League.
Yeah.
It's not like in Italy where you get, how many Italian coaches, you know, make that leap. No, you would say their education is much better with coaching and a much more richer history, of course. So there's, as I say, it was just one of a number of reasons. But I think English managers or British managers tend to struggle with that a little bit, not being that sort of.
No, I agree. I think it's a fair point.
Essentially,
Marcus,
not being the gaffer.
Indeed,
in that.
indeed.
Yeah,
And I think there's still some teething with that.
talk to us about Brucey.
Come on then. Steve Bruce has linked himself with the vacant manager job at Leicester.
They're all at it. It's great.
Jamie Vardy will make his life hell. He doesn't want that.
It's his pheasant hunting season, and we're here for it. They're all out there with their double barrels.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Turns up to the first day of training with a boot full of cabbages.
Just, throwing
Come on.
grenades of vinegar and piss all over the Football League.
He said a points deduction wouldn't put me off. That's not his accent, but that is his tone.
Yeah.
Leicester, you know where I am. I mean, what a wonderful opportunity that is all of a sudden. Yes, it is for somebody, Steve.
Yeah.
Do Leicester know where he is? I don't know where Steve Bruce lives.
If I
Anyone
was-
at Leicester does.
If I was a decision maker at Leicester, I'd call Steve Bruce. And I'd let him see the number come up on the phone. And when he answered excited, I'd say, "Who the fuck do you think you are? We're a proud club.
Yeah.
See what we achieved this season."
Have you managed one of our rivals? Well, you can't have the job then.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dear. Poor old Brucey. Well, from Steve Bruce to Kylian Mbappe. It's the only natural way. Mbappe's move to Real Madrid was confirmed on Monday.
Isn't it refreshing that sometimes a transfer just happens out of nowhere?
I know, just
so rare.
No saga, nothing. They got it
Bang,
done.
done.
Yeah. Well, of course, yes, this has been going on for a couple of years. They thought he was going to sign in 2022. He signed that extension at PSG, and now he has moved. He said on Instagram, "Nobody can understand how excited I am right now. A dream come true. So happy and proud to join the club of my dreams." I mean, he has taken a massive pay cut to go to Real Madrid. That's because, Andy, of the astonishing money that he was given at PSG.
Yeah, and of course he's getting a big signing on fee.
Oh, yes.
There's part of it being a penance salary as well, because he turned them down the first time. There's been quite a demand in Madrid that he should beg to come here now, which is ridiculous, obviously, but there is quite a public pressure for that. But the other thing that really interested me, when he talked about it in yesterday's, like Tuesday's press conference for France, he says, "Look, I just want to say a few words on signing for Real Madrid and then get back to France." He said that he's going to talk about his side of it a bit more coming up. And this is brilliant, because the thing is, he's gone to Real Madrid, but it's not really finished with PSG, because they still owe him a loyalty bonus. They didn't pay him in February. They forgot to pay him for April, and they haven't paid him for May yet as well. So they owe him, what, sort of 80 mil, something like that.
I mean,
hell.
that is a saga that will go on. I mean, it was interesting. Some of his comments said that he said, we knew he was unhappy with them, but he said there were some people at this club that I completely fallen out with. And he said that it was Luis Enrique and one of the others. He said
Luis Campos, the sporting director.
Luis Campos, yeah. He basically said they saved me here.
Which is funny because
they talked him to getting back on the pitch.
To think that Luis Enrique was one of the nicest people to him when he left him out the team most weeks since February. I mean, it's remarkable. I can't wait. The fact that Mbappe has taken the high road so far and he's just letting it build up and build up and build up and he's just going to unload, publicly unload. And it's going to be interesting.
Obviously, you watch La Liga much more closely than we do. Does this put Josselu's place under threat?
They're signing him permanently.
Really?
Good. They're
Great.
signing him permanently, and good for him.
Seriously, though, will Mbappe play through the middle?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah,
Right.
he will.
Because
So
of Vinny Jr.
him and Vinny will be on
Because
the pitch
they-
together.
Everyone forgets about Rodrigo.
I was about to say, you think Rodrigo's a forgotten man already? You wait.
Well, because, of course, Endrick is turning up as well.
Bloody hell, isn't it? Yeah, it's mad.
They are,
It's absolutely
they are
mad.
ridiculous.
Where's
They're a football telenovela with a massive budget.
But although, like saying that, Rodrigo will play where he does. I mean, obviously Mbappe likes to come in off the left, and that's what Vinicius Junior has been doing.
But he's been playing at centre forward almost continuously, Mbappe, since November.
Yeah, but Bellingham's
there's a
current
degree of-
role is Bellingham going to take a bit of a deeper role then?
He is. The role that he was
Take
sort of
note.
intended for in the first place, really. And because they didn't have that superstar striker, because they weren't expecting Benzema to go, he ends up playing in a slightly more advanced role. But
And
I
wins
think
La Liga Player of the Season for it. So.
Exactly, amazing. But I think what Jim was saying about how much talent they've got on the books now and how much attacking talent they've got on the books now, they're going to have to do, Real Madrid are going to have to do the England thing. They're going to be dragged into playing a more attacking way when generally they like to play fairly cautiously. So I think to say they're going to dominate for the next 10 years, well, you look at the squad and you say, all right, fair enough. But there's going to have to be a little bit of a change of approach, and maybe there'll be a few bumps in the road for that.
Yeah, interesting.
It's amazing what Bellingham's been able to achieve with the amount of naysayers he's had all through his life.
It is true. Kylian Mbappe was left out of France's Olympic squad because that is happening, of course, this summer, Olympic Games.
And it's in France, of course, as well.
It is in France. Thierry Henry is the coach. He said with regards to his selections and trying to call players up, he said, the last time I had this many rejections, I was in high school.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not sure Thierry Henry got rejected from an awful lot, even at high school.
Maybe. Michael Elise was selected for France's Olympic squad, however, though.
Yep.
So the Crystal Palace man is in.
Does it count as a competitive game?
Good for him. I don't think it does.
There you go then. Have your fun. Come and see the real deal later in the year.
Well, 'cause it's not FIFA football, is it?
No, exactly. That's what I was thinking. So if he can come over and we'll still have him back.
Yeah.
We'll still have him. What England need to do is just pump their squad full of just endless amounts of wide forwards. That's all we
And
need.
Crystal Palace players.
Yeah, I tell you what we'll do. We'll open.
They've had a few call-ups.
They have.
Eze, Walton and Dean Henderson's
We'll
in
open
there.
negotiations.
Gay, yeah.
As well. We'll open negotiations with Michael Elise by saying, are you interested in retraining as a fullback? In which case, I can guarantee you a squad place for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely, yeah. And you are left-footed, so that fits the bill. Right, everybody. Have you heard that Kevin De Bruyne is now open to a move to Saudi Arabia?
I don't think there's any now about it, is there?
Yeah, he said, at my age, you have to be open to everything. He's 32. If I play there for 2 years, I will be able to earn an incredible amount of money. Before that, I had to play football for 15 years. I may not even reach that amount yet.
I think that offer might still be on the table in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame, isn't it? I suppose with De Bruyne, he is obviously talking about the finances of it, so you can't blame him per se, but he's still only in his early 30s.
The way he's playing, it doesn't really look like he's leaving his peak in the immediate sense, does it?
Well,
you say that. He's missed a lot of football this season. I think if there's a
lot
point...
of miles on the clock.
Yeah, I think if there's a point at which you're going to say, I can't be doing with being kicked in the Premier League when I could be be the best player in the league somewhere else, spend a lot more time with my family and get paid like 4 times as much. Well, maybe not that much if you're coming from City.
Yeah, but
a lot of money.
What I mean, Andy, though, is that he doesn't look like someone who's only got a year left in the tank. Right?
Yes.
Surely he can see his contract out at City and then go and do that anyway.
But I don't know. What's the point in that? If you're not bothered about where the money comes from and you're fine with the ideological idea of playing in Saudi Arabia, what more is he going to achieve at City in the next year? He's not even going to play every week.
I suppose he's won everything he can win. It's just about how competitive he's feeling, right?
Yeah, they've done the transition season already, haven't they?
I mean, I suppose
with Foden.
from his point of view, for all those reasons, you think, okay, I'm going to leave Manchester City. Where then do you go? Well, I mean, he probably could walk into any side in the world, but in that terms of that elite level, in terms of every week, massive pressure, you've got to be absolutely on it. He probably thinks, I wouldn't mind to take a little bit of a step down. Now, to then go and join a mid-table La Liga side or Serie A side is probably unlikely, wage-wise and so on.
Yeah.
But I do think to myself, like to take such a step down in his professional life.
As a fan, you look at it and you think it's a bit sad.
Well, it's sad, but also, like, surely he just couldn't be happy. Like, think about the players he's been playing with for the last however many years. Surely that would frustrate you.
I mean, he is a frustratable character.
Yeah,
as well.
That's the point. I understand you're in a rock and a hard place, but I just, to me,
also I know we've got to be careful not kind of attributing our experiences onto a completely different situation, because De Bruyne is in the position he's in, and he's made that quite. He said that what he said, and fine. But like, there's an element to this where you've made your dough. You have made your dough already.
Yeah.
This is not like you are worried that you might not make as much money as you thought you could because of whatever reason. He has made an astonishing amount of money already.
Well, reportedly $300,000 a week.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand there's tax and all that.
No, but even so, even if you, Andy's right to point out the ideological element to this. Even if you put that to one side, it's frustrating that because of the money Saudi Arabia have got, they completely move the dial. Mm-hmm. Like, I would love, and maybe this is a overly romantic thing to say, but how good would it be to do the old go to Serie A for a couple of years? Mm-hmm. It's a slower pace, it's much more tactically astute league. You still earn good money. You're not be on the poverty line. Go to a club in a league where you can still challenge yourself.
Like when Raul went to Schalke.
Yeah, there you go. It's a classic example.
Lovely.
Great example.
Yeah. Indeed. Well, who knows where Kevin De Bruyne
maybe he just wants to get out there before City set the whole legal world on fire in this country.
Well, they're going to sue the Saudi Pro League as well.
That might be one area they won't. That might be the one area they fear to tread. Yeah,
that would be interesting.
Yeah,
that would be interesting. Well,
at least start with them.
Yeah,
maybe once De Bruyne gets to Saudi, he'll be so rich he can lend them some money for the extra legal expenses.
Yeah, he can be the legal envoy.
Of course, Man City are suing the Premier League.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Because of tyranny.
Yes. Yeah. I just
basically. An explainer for those listening who aren't quite clear on this, okay? Man City want to do whatever they want, whenever they want. And if you don't
it's unlike really rich people to do that,
if you don't let them, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The good news is we've got a super robust set of infrastructure in the Premier League and the FA to probably deal with this. And I think my honest hot take assessment is that it'll probably just blow over.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Khaldoon Al-Mubarak, who is the City chairman, has reported to have said to Gianni Infantino in the past that he would rather spend 30 million on the 50 best lawyers in the world to sue UEFA for the next 10 years than accept sanctions. It feels like that playbook's come back, doesn't it?
Hey, Manchester City, right, who have won 4 Premier Leagues in a row, have won everything you can win, have completely revolutionised, for better or worse, probably worse, the entire landscape of football in this country in their unprecedented success. Fueled by an astonishing amount of money that was hitherto unseen even before when Chelsea were taken over by Roman Abramovich, have submitted a 165-page legal document in which they argue they are, quote, the victims of discrimination. And that's all you need to say.
Oh, dear. Well, it's never nice to be a victim, so we wish Manchester City all the best with that.
Yeah, we shouldn't victim shame in this scenario.
No. Gentlemen, let's move on to an organisation that have all their ducks in a row. FIFA. Their president, Gianni Infantino, has confirmed that they are developing their own video game. Or computer game, for those who still call them that I do. We will develop a new e-game. When they play football simulation games, they play FIFA. It cannot be named something else. Obviously, as everything we do, it will be the best.
It's going to be like Pong, isn't it? They've been promising this for years.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't.
Not actually that easy to make a sort of huge mainstream game in any way whatsoever. I think he really thought they would just be able to get like someone's cousin who's good with computers to knock one together.
Yeah.
Why has he called it an e-game? Well, do people think it's going to be a board game or something?
Because he's on trend. I think that they could do worse than employing Pete Donaldson to help them out with this.
Yeah.
Could they? For what reason?
Pete doesn't have a criminal conviction.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do in this scenario of your FIFA is, I mean, this is obviously never going to happen because it involves showing some kind of humility, is lend your brand to people who know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And either that's what they're going to do here, because they've obviously decoupled.
So who would organise the World Cup with because of that then?
Exactly. They've decoupled from EA Sports, haven't they, famously? And that's why the new game is called EAFC and everything. They're the people who are doing the game bit, though.
It's an unsuccessful partnership. That
and FIFA, the best thing you can do is just let people who know what they're doing do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are two things here. Firstly, are developing rather than have developed suggests that, it's done. The other thing that suggests it's done is people are out there of all ages playing EAFC and they're having a great time. And it's amazing how they've negotiated losing the name incredibly easily. This is, if people didn't really give a toss about the name.
I was actually surprised that didn't come from the other way, that people weren't going, this brand's toxic. We don't want to develop a game in coalition with such a toxic brand, and so that to me,
that's life, isn't it? Someone will do it.
Yeah, I know, but not EA Sports are massive, aren't they?
I don't think gamers care about that.
Well, whatever they come up with, Jim, as Gianni said himself, as everything they do, it will be the best.
Yeah, like FIFA's the best awards.
Yeah, or the people they invite on the pitch after the World Cup final to see the trophy.
Bit of Salt Bay.
Yeah, exactly. Salt Bay, the best. Nothing but the best.
There is going to be a Salt Bay Celebrity 11 in this new FIFA game, isn't
Salt
there?
Bay can't still be knocking about. He can't still be knocking about now.
It keeps finding a way in, though.
That's what I'm saying. He won't turn up at the Euros.
If England win the Euros, a great celebration, and Salt Bay turns up and like Bellingham and Foden all got their arms
cheapens
around.
it.
Yeah,
I think
I'd rather wouldn't want.
What would be really good?
I'd like to salt him to death.
Is if
Here's a slug.
Exactly. Just put the salt on him. Exactly.
Can you imagine if
Get back to the salt pot,
England
you
won the
squad.
Euros, Salt Bay came on the pitch, started taking pictures, grabbing the trophy, and Harry Maguire just put him in a black plastic bag and took him off the pitch?
Yeah, that'd be great.
He'd be a national treasure for it.
Yeah.
If indeed he did that.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.